released and is going to spend time with family. She also says the FBI is going to investigate and continue their investigation into this incident. And notably, Jake, she says that ICE will continue their presence in Minneapolis. We have heard strong words from local officials who have said that they need to get out, they being ICE, from the Minneapolis area. But she maintained that they are going to stay on the streets there and continue to conduct their operations, which they have touted over the course of the last couple of days as the biggest immigration operation to date under President Donald Trump's second term. So really the bottom line here is that the Department of Homeland Security had laid out a set of facts earlier in the day. They are maintaining that many hours later in describing the events that unfolded here, and they are saying that they are standing behind the officer and the way that he conducted himself here that obviously led to the death of this U.S. citizen woman, and that they are going to continue in Minneapolis and will defer all of their questions to the FBI for investigation. But certainly, again, Jake, the secretary sticking with what the department has been saying over the course of the day.
Right. So I'm gonna read the comments that she made at the top of her remarks just a few minutes ago, and then after I read that, I want to show the actual video so all the viewers out there can assess if what they heard from Secretary Noem lines up with what they see in this video. And then I'm going to go to Whitney Wild, who is on the scene of the shooting. So she said that this all started at 10:25 a.m. And there was that incident with the car stuck in the snow. Okay, then she says, law enforcement was attempting to push out this vehicle. A mob of agitators that were harassing them all day began blocking them and shouting at them, impeding law enforcement operations. Okay, she hasn't said that that's the woman in question. But then she says, ICE officers and agents approached the vehicle of the individual in question, who was blocking the officers in with her vehicle, and she had been stalking and impeding their work all throughout the day. ICE agents repeatedly ordered her to get out of the car and to stop obstructing law enforcement, but she refused to obey their commands. She then proceeded to weaponize her vehicle, and she attempted to run a law enforcement officer over. This appears as an attempt to kill or to cause bodily harm to agents in active domestic terrorism. The ICE officer, feeling for his life, and the other officers around him and the safety of the public, fired defensive shots. He used his training to save his own life and that of his colleagues. That is what the Secretary of Homeland Security said just minutes ago about the video I'm going to show you right now.
No! No! Shame! Shame! Oh my God! What the f? What the f? You just what the f did you do?
Whitney Wild, you're on the scene. I am sure that Secretary Noem, sticking with the version, her narrative of what happened on that street that she shared earlier this day, that she's maintaining that that's what happened, is going to upset a lot of people who saw with their own eyes what happened.
Absolutely. I think it is very clear, you're hearing from Governor Tim Walz, Mayor Jacob Frey, that they have seen the video themselves. They do not believe that the narrative that DHS is putting out there is true. And actually, people are so angry here that earlier today when I was describing the DHS statement, the moment that I started to describe it, people started screaming because they were offended by this DHS narrative that this was a justified shooting. They are incredibly angry. Secretary Noem's words, I am sure, will do very little to calm tensions here. They may even inflame them. And now the question is, there's all this anger. Where does it go? What is the direction that this anger will take? As I mentioned before, and we've been talking about all day, the context here that is unique to Minneapolis is that this is the aftermath of the George Floyd riots that started a nationwide change in law enforcement. This is a city that tried to build back a lot. They don't want that to get torn away, but they realize that that is a possibility. Earlier today, we saw protesters at the courthouse. In some of the video, you can see them shouting, chanting, at one point seeming to either lock arms or kind of stand in a line. There is also video that shows a cracked window. So the question becomes, does the anger get directed toward the federal law enforcement buildings here, the federal court? Does it get directed, as we've seen in other cities, at the ICE field offices? We certainly saw that in Chicago. We've seen it in Los Angeles. So that really is the question. Right now, again, we are just yards from where this woman lost her life. It was right where I'm standing that this all unfolded. And right now what you're seeing is people moving away. They're trying to reopen the street so that people can park. This is a residential area. There were a lot of people who saw this, a lot of people who took video of it. And people are, they're here to pay respects to the woman who lost her life. They are here to listen to people speak. And Jake, I'll leave you with this. Over and over, we're hearing people chant her name. They're saying, say her name, and you're hearing the crowd chant her name. This is another George Floyd moment here. And the people here, assume that this moment will not be lost in a week, in a month, in a year. This is another turning point here. And they are telling you plainly they want ICE out of Minneapolis. Back
All
to
right.
you.
And Priscilla Alvarez, not to put too fine a point on it, but you have a lot of sources within the Trump administration, in the immigration realm, in Homeland Security, in ICE, and all over, people who support President Trump, who support his immigration agenda, who support these operations. And even some of them do not think that this description, this narrative of events from the Secretary of Homeland Security is what they see in that video.
Yeah, Jake, I'll add to that typically what we often hear from federal law enforcement sources, too, is that unless they have the whole set of circumstances, they can't pass judgment. But in this case, just from the videos they have seen, a lot of my sources are scratching their heads. I actually, just before we went on air, had a veteran ICE official who texted me and said they just don't recognize this agency anymore. So there are a lot of questions here. Of course, ICE has been doing work like targeted operations for years. They have been in dangerous situations before. So seeing something like this unfold where a woman was killed, it begs the question as to whether the officer did, in fact, follow training protocol. Now, the secretary is standing by this officer, saying that he did follow standard protocol. But at the same token, this is still under investigation by the FBI. So, yes, certainly still a lot of questions, even after that presser from the Department of Homeland Security.
I believe the secretary also made a comment about how this ICE officer had been dragged in an operation in Bloomington, Minnesota.
That's right.
Last June, dragged 50 yards. He survived it, obviously, but one wonders if that was part of this in any way. Priscilla Alvarez, Whitney Wild, thanks to both of you. Really appreciate it. Joining us now, Republican Congressman Carlos Jimenez of Florida. We have him here to talk about Venezuela, but there is this breaking news, and I am wondering your reaction to the shooting.